Look for me in the world when I look up.
Be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai, Mudzimu Mokuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors because our ancestors are worthy to be praised. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Tendai Mwari. Garvey lives. Messiah lives. Garvey lives. Messiah lives. Garvey lives. Messiah lives. The torrent breaks through hills and valleys. This was the teaching of Ifa for Orunmila, who would triumph on earth and would likewise in heaven. Orunmila was told to sacrifice. He was told he would triumph over his enemies. And indeed, when he practiced sacrifice, he was victorious. Tendamwari. Such is the wisdom of our ancient Yoruba ancestors. Say, hail to the power of the word.
Hail to the power of the word.
Brothers and sisters, this passage is taken from the sacred wisdom of our Yoruba ancestors, commonly referred to as the Odu Ifa. The Odu Ifa. And I won't be breaking down all of the significance of this word sound immediately, brothers and sisters, but pay attention to the words, and as the message commences, its relevance will become clearer. But I wish to say, to begin with, that I want to highlight the use of the terms torrent. Anybody know what torrent means? Downpour or flow, stream of water, often which is guided by high frequency and velocity wind, known as often storm, hurricane, whirlwind. Is everybody with me, brothers and sisters? Yeah. And I wish to also bring to our attention that in the Isheshe or Ifa tradition, Orunmila is the paramount prophetic voice. Orunmila is the voice through which the Isheshe or Ifa system is codified and given structure. Is everybody with me, brothers and sisters? Yeah. So Orunmila is the prophet in the text. And Orunmila was asked to do what? Sacrifice. And when Orunmila sacrifices, Orunmila will triumph over his enemies. Orunmila will be victorious. Is everybody with me, brothers and sisters? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Garvey lives. Messiah lives. So let's meditate on the word, brothers and sisters, and let it guide you through the message. So the message is in fact titled Nitafute Kwenye Kimbunga, which simply means, in the Kiswahili language, look for me in the whirlwind.
All right.
Look for me in the whirlwind.
All right.
Nitafute kwenye kimbunga. Oh, you can feel free for saying it. Nitafute kwenye kimbunga. Nitafute kwenye kimbunga. Now I suspected if I put that on the flyer, brothers and sisters, people would have did last. Yeah? So we have to negotiate, yeah, you know what I'm saying, with the flag. But now you're here, you can get the real title of the message, which is Nitafute Kwenye Kimbunga. Look for me in the whirlwind, brothers and sisters. And as you can see, there is a symbol above the words, and the significance of that will become clearer as we get through the message. Is everybody with me? Yeah. All right, brothers and sisters. So we just had a reading from African fundamentalism. And the reason why we engage that reading today is because it is in fact 100 years since that was written and published by the UNIA-ACL under the leadership of the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And so we're in a centennial moment, And so we're honoring that centennial moment with the bringing of the word entitled African fundamentalism. And as we have begun to delve deeper into the legacy and the ideology, the ideological foundation of Garveyism, we have used the term African fundamentalism to describe and define and identify the ideological foundation of Garveyism. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
And so through the work of the foremost scholar on the life and legacy of the most honorable remarkable Medai Garvey and the UNIA ACL Babatoni Martin, we identify key principles and values of what we refer to as African fundamentalism. And as he defined it, the first principle is race first.
Yeah.
The second is self-reliance.
Yeah.
And the third is nationhood. But as the Ancestral and revivalist movement, we know and we understand that nothing moves in creation without spirit and spirituality.
Yeah.
And so we delve into the life and legacy of the most eminent prophet and king and understand and emphasize the significance of spirit and spirituality in the legacy.
Come on.
And so we reason with Baba Tony Martin and say, well, hold on, Baba Tony Martin. There's a fourth principle that needs to be highlighted, and that is the principle of African spiritual cultural orthodoxy.
Word.
And Baba Tony Martin had the wisdom and said, well, yes, you're correct. I give it my blessing. And so as the Ancestral and revivalist movement, we add the fourth principle, which is African spiritual cultural orthodoxy.
Right.
Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
But we're in an environment referred to as Shumila. A beautiful word in the Shona language of Zimbabwe, which simply means worship. As we say in the Ancestral and revivalist movement, freedom begins with the freeing of the mind and the soul.
Right.
And so this environment is created for the specific purpose of reacculturating us and orienting us spiritually towards ourselves as African people, and then our liberation as African people.
That's right.
Because we can be fully expressive and manifesting of our spirituality while we remain in an oppressive state.
Word.
Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
And so as we go forward, brothers and sisters, we say liberation is not an event, it is a process. So as we go through the process, we gain deeper wisdom and deeper insight, and our reacculturation of ourselves becomes more specific, and we delve deeper into the details. And so I want to introduce some of you to some of that detailed work, brothers and sisters, right now. Repeat after me. Kimoyo. One more time. Kimoyo. Kimoyo is a word that is spoken in many African languages. Yeah, the key terminology here is moyo. And many of us who are dealing with African spirituality and African spiritual systems, the reassertation of African culture, are using this terminology in place of the terminology African spirituality. Yeah? African spirituality is a good terminology. It has legitimacy within the context of our sojourn towards reasserting and restructuralizing and reinstituting the value of African spiritual systems in African life. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
But as we gain more deeper understanding, our terminology has to reflect that understanding.
Yeah.
So as good as African spirituality is, it is not sufficient for where we're trying to ultimately go.
Word.
And so myself and brothers like Asa Imhotep, for those who are aware, and brother Benjamin Njie, also known as Black Panther, have gleaned this word from the work of Baba Kim Wandende Kiabunse Kifukia. And it seems that its definition is appropriate So when we say African spirituality, this is what we're referring to. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
So we're going to read, yeah? The Bantu, Baba Kimbwandin, the Kiabon Seki Fukiao says, are vitalists. This is accepting themselves as well as everything in the universe as a part of Ikingu Amoyo, the principle of life in its wholeness. Ikingu Amoyo, the principle of life in its wholeness. Their religion deals principally with force and vitality. A religion that does not believe in any physical being, but Ngolo Yemoyo Mudingo Dingo. Ngolo Yemoyo Mudingo Dingo, which is force and life through Dingo Dingo, which is the natural way of life and change. Dingo Dingo is natural way of life, change, evolution, regeneration. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Let's go forward. This religion, spirituality, can be called dynamo vitalism. Kimoyo. Say it with me. Kimoyo. The religion itself is not a question of belief. Don't be unbelief right now. Yeah? It is a question of tadingo dingo yekala mudingo dingo. Do I need to define that?
Yeah.
Are you tapping on the spirit of the thing? Wow. Yeah? Which is participating in Dingo Dingo and being a part of Dingo Dingo, which means participating in a natural way of life and being a part of a natural way of life. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yeah? But it sounds better for say, ta Dingo Dingo, ye call am Dingo Dingo. And that have rhythm.
Yeah.
You follow me? Yeah? It have rhythm. Alright? The Muntu, African human being, sees his religion like dancing. Dancing is not a question of belief. Yeah? When you go to dance, come on, say, when I was at the dance last night, confession is good for the soul.
Yeah.
When the rhythm lick, you don't ask the question, do I believe in rhythm? You just feel rhythm.
That's right.
I make rhythm move you.
That's right.
Are true?
Yeah.
Allow me to tell?
Yeah.
Alright.
No.
Dance is not a question of belief. It is a question of participating and being part of the dance.
That's right.
Kimoyo. This is what we mean when we say African spirituality. The word Kimoyo gives definition to what it is that we're trying to get to. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Moyo means vital power. This vital power came to exist on earth after Futu, which is a container of something or secret or great price or value, was completely tied up. The Futu and its contents were ready to secure life to be born on earth. Moyo in this language, Kikongo, is universal matter. So you notice that the vital force also means universal matter. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
It is something both inside and outside. Moyo is what is the vitality of life. It is the key word to Kibantu, the Bantu way of life, their philosophy. Kimoyo, vitalism, is their religion, and it is not animism. And in Baba Kimbwande's text, he equates animism with animalism. How they try to degrade African spiritual systems. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
So he needs to clarify what the thing really is. That we as African people recognize ourselves as expressions of and inextricably connected to a universal life force. Right. And our spirituality is born of that consciousness. Right. All of that is encapsulated in the word sound Kimoyo. Kimoyo means life. It means spirit. It means universal vital force. It can also mean heart. Because the heart is essential to the maintenance of life in the body. The heart keeps the rhythm in the body. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
So it's important as we delve into our African spiritual consciousness to delve deeper into how our ancestors gave expression to it. Kimoyo, literal definitions, dynamo, vitalism, or of the spirit. But then the question then becomes, brothers and sisters, how do we, as African spiritualists, or Nkwa Kimoyo, adherents of Kimoyo, conceptualize our liberation on African spiritual Kimoyo terms?
Come on.
Is that a good question?
Yeah. Come on.
The reason why that question is important is because spirituality is all the rage nowadays, brothers and sisters. Everybody want to manifest something. Yeah, manifestation is the name of the game. Manifest big house. Manifest big car. Manifest good clothes. Manifest good sex and relationship. We know how to get spiritual when we want to manifest them things there. But when it comes to our liberation as a people, somehow spirituality can't cater for that. Yeah, we don't want to deal with the material. We want to float above the earth when we get spiritual. But when we want good sex and relationship, we don't forget physical real quick. And that I tell? Everybody gone quiet. Moving swiftly on. As Uncle Wally said. The question is, how do we conceptualize the consciousness of African liberation, African sovereignty, African freedom within our own spiritual consciousness?
Word sound.
That is the question.
Word sound.
Nitafute kwenye Kimbunga. Look for me in the whirlwind. The utterance, some say 1924, some say 1925, is also 100 years old, there and thereabouts. And it is contained, brothers and sisters, in a word sound that Papa Garvey released to the African world when, after he had been incarcerated in America on the trumped-up charge of mail fraud. First addressed to the African people of the world from Atlanta Penitentiary. It's important for us to connect with the circumstance, the context in which Papa Garvey uttered these words. And he begins his address to the African people of the world. I am delighted. Somebody in their prison, you know, on trumped up charges. And he begins the utterance. I am delighted, we say, to inform you that you're what? Humble servant. Not me, Marcus Garvey, President General of the African people of the world, the Right Honorable, and me run this. No, your humble what? Servant is happy in suffering.
Right.
You're not hear what the man said. The man said, is happy in suffering for you and our cause as is possible under the circumstances of being viciously outraged by a group of plotters who have connived to do their worst to humiliate you through me.
That's right.
Not humiliate me, but humiliate you through me.
Yeah. Come on.
I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am. Muntu ungu muntu unga bantu. A person is a person because they are people.
Yeah.
I, Papa Garvey, am because you are. And because you are, therefore I, Mosiah, am.
That's right.
In the fight for real emancipation and African redemption. Remember the word sound that began the message, brothers. He goes on to say, all I have given you.
Yeah. Yes.
I have sacrificed my home and my loving wife for you.
Word.
I entrust her to your charge
Word sound.
to protect and defend her in my absence.
Come on.
She is the bravest little woman I know. She has suffered and sacrificed with me for you. Therefore, please do not desert her at this dismal hour when she stands alone. I have left her penniless and helpless to face the world because I gave you all, but her courage is great. And I know she will hold up for you and me.
Word sound and power.
The man tell you same sacrifice, but not only he sacrificed, Mama Amy Jake sacrificed.
Yes.
Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
And we have Mama Amy Jake's Garvey to thank for the fact that we have this word. Because while Papa Garvey was incarcerated, it was her who compiled the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Remember now, the question is, how do we conceptualize our freedom within our own spiritual consciousness? Yeah? If I die in Atlanta, my work shall only then begin. But I shall live in the spiritual or the physical or the spiritual, to see the day of Africa's glory. When I am dead, wrap the mantle of the red, the black, and the green around me. For in the new life, I shall rise with God's grace and blessings to lead the millions up the heights of the triumph with the colors that you well know. Look for me in the whirlwind. Nitafute kwenye Kimbunga. Look for me in the whirlwind or a storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come back and bring with me countless millions of black slaves who have died in America and the West Indies and the millions in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. I want people to connect with the mental state of the prophet when he writes and utters these words. This is a man who has been recently incarcerated for leading a mass movement of African people. You can tell that him no know if him gonna make it out of the prison. This is a man contemplating his mortality at this moment in time. And he might tell me, say, when I live upon this plane, I'm dead upon this plane, the work continue. And not only will the work continue, but I will continue the work.
Yeah.
In whatever form I am in. I am going to be fighting for African people.
Yeah.
If I am the man Marcus Garvey, I fight for African people. If I come in a whirlwind, I fight for African people.
Yes.
If I come in a storm, I fight for African people.
Word.
If I come in a plague or a pestilence, or as God would have me, then be assured I will never desert you and make your enemies triumph over you. Papa Garvey says so.
Word.
So I want to know now, what is the consciousness of this man who, when faced with all of this, comes out of it with such conviction and resolve? And that me want to know. Yeah? And I began to reflect on this in my own life when people ask me, well, you know, brother leader, start the movement, and people ask questions about the children of activists many times. Yeah? I've been go to Ghana, I go to Atlanta, I go to Sierra Leone, and people ask the same question. Why is it that when people do the work, their children are often not doing the work? And people ask me this question because them see my father and them see me I do the work. So they want to know what I want for you. Somehow me have the secret. Me don't know the answer to the question, you know. Me don't know. But I began to reflect on this and study our ancestors, who, not just Papa Garvey now, our ancestors in general, yes, who had this vision and this die-hard resolve, yeah? And what was it that motivated them? What was it that guided them on this path? Yeah? And I don't claim today to have all of the answers to that question. I don't know. I don't even know if it's a question you can answer fully. What I do know, however, is that one element is consistent. And Papa Garvey puts it like this. He says, so the enemies and the traitors are crazy if they think they can damage the Universal Negro Improvement Association. I am speaking to you as the man who founded and organized the Universal Negro Improvement Association, as the man who sacrificed and suffered to bring it into existence. The Universal Negro Improvement Association. I had motive and what? Purpose. It was not money, because I could have gotten that for myself and be satisfied. It was not position, because I could have got that for myself. He says, what is it? It was the crying voice from the grave. The crying voice from the grave. Remember now, the question is, how do we conceptualize the process of African liberation within our own African spiritual consciousness? Papa Garvey says, it was the crying voice from the grave that said, Garvey, we have suffered for 250 years for your day and your time. We expect something of you at this hour.
Word. Absolutely. Come on, bring it.
Let the world understand that Garvey hears the wail and the cry of millions of our forebearers crying from the grave. Remember now, Kimoyo is universal life force, universal matter. You hear me?
Yeah.
Within a Kimoyo consciousness, our ancestors are central and essential. It is our ancestors through which we ascertain the wisdom and the guidance of our ancestors, through which we ascertain what our mission and purpose is in life.
That's right.
Our ancestors represent the collective consciousness and life force of our people and our sojourn in this dispensation or on this plane of existence and on all planes of existence through which our consciousness resides. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
So African people who are connected to our ancestral consciousness derive mission and purpose from that connectedness. We are our ancestors, and our ancestors are us. And Papa Garvey understood somewhere within him consciousness that what was driving him was the crying voice from the grave. Mama Marimba Ani, our spiritual mother, expresses this as a poem. She calls it the African Promise, where she says that we made a decision to be born African and to fulfill the mission and the vision of our ancestors. Is everybody with me? Yeah? All right. So let those that fight the UNIA beware, for someday they will have to reckon with 400 million Africans. For Garvey is but laying the cornerstone for the incoming of a new Africa. Is everybody with me? All right. I'm gonna skip this. Oh, we read that already. So let's return to Mama Marimba Ani. And as you can see, Mama is ready for war. And that's why I love Mama Marimba Ani. Because when Mama Marimba Ani discusses spirituality, she wants to know its relevance to war. You following me? Yeah? All right. So, as a student of Mama Marimba Ani, I was listening to her once, and she said, another very important part of this process is, which is understood in African civilization, is that we develop and use, is the development and use of what we call icons or sacred symbols, which have the ability to touch the consciousness of our people at a very, very deep kind of level, so that our children will begin to recognize and identify with those icons and sacred symbols. There's a mistake there. That are a part of their learning. Yeah? So we know, and she gives examples of this later on in this particular presentation. So she gives an example of the Ark. Yeah? Ancient Nile Valley symbol. We say it represents life. Is everybody with me? Yeah. Yes? Sacred symbol or icons. We have the Ekwaba. Yes? Sacred symbol coming out of our Akan ancestry. Yeah? All, simple as you take it, Neteru, Loa, Orisha, Nkisi, all our divinities as African people are sacred symbols and icons designed to allow us as a people to connect with particular states of consciousness, particular states of being, particular forces in nature. Yeah. Is everybody with me? Yeah. Ogun is an icon and a sacred symbol. Herakuti is an icon and a sacred symbol. Yeah. Oshun is an icon and a sacred symbol. Is everybody with me? Yeah. Yeah. Sakpata is an icon and a sacred symbol. Jean-Jacques Dessalines is an icon and a sacred symbol. Yeah. Kimpavita is an icon and a sacred symbol. Yeah. Is everybody with me? Yeah. So I'm thinking about this now. I'm just giving you an insight into how me think certain time. Yeah? And the question then becomes to me, how can we encapsulate the spirit and consciousness of African liberation in a sacred symbol? Is everybody with me? Yeah. And this is how I was thinking. And so as a Garveyite, an adherent to the life and legacy of the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, it occurred to me that Papa Garvey expressed it in terms of the whirlwind and the storm. look for me in the whirlwind and the storm. That the consciousness and spirit of African liberation now is a force of nature. And that when we as African people are in our right state of mind and being, we become vessels for the forces of nature in the liberation of ourselves. Will you not hear me? I said, when we as African people are in our right state of mind and being, we become vessels for the forces of nature in the liberation of ourselves. Don't take African ritual lightly. When we light fire and go a river and beat some drum and chant some word sound, throw gubados, get in a spirit and some trance and all them things there. We are connecting with the universal life force and challenging it to do work on this plane. That way I do. And so as I began to meditate on this symbol manifested itself in my consciousness. And I want to go through the components of the symbolism for you right now. The question is, how do we express, conceptualize African liberation in terms of Kimoyo? Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
So you can see here what we have in the center is a black star. The significance of the black star should be obvious from a Garveyite perspective. Yeah? But it not stop there, so. And the black star is surrounded by a depiction of what you might define as a whirlwind. Nitafute kwenye Kimbunga. Look for me in the whirlwind. But let's go deeper into our ancestral consciousness at this moment in time. Within the consciousness of our Akan spiritual systems and culture, often referred to as Akom, we have the Adinkra symbols. Yes. Everybody's familiar with the Adinkra symbol. Yeah. One of the Adinkra symbols is Nsroma. Everybody say Nsroma. Nsroma. Which means star. Yeah? Which means star. Black star would be something like Abibi Nsroma. Yes? But now, Nsroma just means star. It can be any star. Is everybody with me? Yeah. But our ancestors look at the star, create a sacred symbol out of it, and give the sacred symbol deeper meaning. Yeah. So Nsroma, the symbol of faith and belief in the patronage and dependency on the supreme being, the universal life force. Yes? Proverb. Oba nyanko Nsroma tenyame sona ntene hoso. A child of the supreme being. I am a child of the supreme being, that should say. I do not depend on myself. My illumination is only a reflection of his. Now, I've quoted it directly because I got it from a book, yeah, and a Dinkra dictionary. But when I read these dictionaries and so on and so forth, you have to pay attention to the anglicization and sometimes the Abrahamicization of terminology. Yeah? You're following me? Because Nyame is not a he within the Akan consciousness. Are you following me? Yeah. All right? But because we get Abrahamicized now, we start using terminology and we speak English. Yeah? But it symbolizes our connection to the universal life force. And that we are expressions of that universal life force and dependent upon it. Yeah? So there's an interdependent relationship between us and the universal life. But Nsroma also has a deeper meaning. And when I read this, it blew my mind. It says, Nsroma star symbolizes a person of exemplary character. In other words, a person who exist in the consciousness of their connectedness to the universal life force engages in the development of their character and therefore becomes an exemplar for others. So Unsuroma is a symbol that is used to symbolize a person of what? Exemplary character. It could, Garvey lives, Mosiah lives. It could represent a person who is a leader, a star of a home, school, or institution. Such persons usually have outstanding characters and personal attributes. Unsuroma also represents faith. Faith implies the idea of hope. To have faith, a person must hope for something and then believe in it. I prefer to say be convicted by it. That connection is the essence of what faith is. Another aspect of this symbol is the Akan use of the crescent moon for females and their influence and power over life. That is within this context of this particular symbol, Osramne and Suroma, which we're not going to go into today, but I just wanted to show you the crescent, yeah? Connected to the star, and it's specific to female, feminine, power in its feminine essence. Is everybody with me? Yeah? So when you invest in the ancestors, brothers and sisters, the ancestors will reciprocate.
Yeah, that's right.
And invest back in you. Because me I meditate on this thing, and I thought, Black Star. Garvey said, Black Star. Alright, let me go into our ancestral consciousness now for what stars symbolize. And you will agree with me that Unsuroma is sitting within the context of understanding the character of the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Yeah.
You following me, brothers and sisters? But then now check the symbol now. So we've got a star surrounded by a spiral, symbolic of the whirlwind. Circles and spirals are ubiquitous through our African sacred symbols. Yeah? And they often have meaning that is connected to our narrative of creation itself. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you two examples. First, the Po. The Po in our ancient Dogon cosmology is like the smallest particle. Yeah? The smallest particle from which all matter that makes up creation was emitted from. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
And so it says, thus the Po seed, so it's symbolized by a seed, was created by Amma. Amma is the supreme divine being in the Dogon consciousness. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Well, no, we're there, Shumira, right now, so we have to talk some African spirituality.
Yeah.
We have to talk some Kimoyo.
Yeah.
You following me? Alright? Yeah. Because if we can't conceptualize revolution in the context of our own spirituality and culture, we're not going free.
Yeah.
Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
In this infinitely small element resided an even smaller principle. It is said by our Dogon ancestors, inside the Po, which is the symbol of the smallest, is an even smaller thing, which is life. Life developed at the same time as its means of support. That's a common refrain that you'll find here. That the creator is the creation, and the creation is the creator. Yeah? So we don't have no creator without no creation. That exists independently of the creation. That don't make no sense in the African consciousness. You following me? Yeah? Alright? Support made to blended elements. This development worked on the principle of motion, turning in a conical spiral. It is said, when life increases, it increases by whirling. Look for me in the whirlwind. Look for me in the whirlwind. Which is a repetition of Amma's first act, because that imitates how Amma, the creative life force, came out of the egg of the world. So in other words, in the Dogon consciousness, creation was brought into being conceptually with the whirling of the initial elements through the power of Amma. So the whirling is a creative force in the world. Well, you not hear me I say no?
Yeah.
The whirling brings creation into being. Another example of this is Kalunga. Now we're going from Dogon, West Africa, and we're going in Central Africa with the Bakongo people there. Yeah? Not for we are Bakongo people there. If we come from the diaspora, Jamaica, Antigua, St. Lucia, Dominica, Brazil, Suriname, plenty Bakongo people reach there. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Everybody say Kalunga.
Kalunga.
A force, a fire force complete by itself, Kalunga, emerged from within the Mbungi. The Mbungi is space, empty space, yes? The emptiness, nothingness, and became the source of life. Moyo, Wawo, Mo'unza, on earth, force of life, yeah? That is the Kalunga, the complete force by itself, fired up the Mbungi and overran, dominated it. Kalunga, Walunga, Kwika, Mbungi, Ye, Lungila, Yo. That's all Kikongo. Alright? The heated force of the Kalunga blew up. And in the book itself, you can see it's depicted as a circle. And the circle is moving. Yes? Alright? So what's in the center of the circle is moving in a circular motion. The circle itself is moving in a circular motion. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
And from that, a huge storm of projectiles, which is Kimbwandende, producing a huge mass of fusion, Luku, Lualamba, and Zambi. And Zambi is the name of the creator in Kikongo. Yes? Kalunga then became the symbol of force, vitality, and more. I'm not going to read the rest, but you get the point, brothers and sisters, that this circular whirling motion is how in many of our African spiritual consciousness we conceptualize creative energy. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Nitafute kwenye Kimbunga. What's the point? The point is that if we are going to liberate ourselves as a people, it requires a critical mass of us to exist in a certain consciousness and a certain state of being, whereby we are so consumed with the crying voice of our ancestors that we have no choice but to fulfill the mission they laid down for us.
Yeah.
That we are concerned, above all else, with the cultivation of our character in ways that allow us to be vessels for the fulfillment of that mission.
Yeah.
And Sloma. And that when we exist in that consciousness, we will make of ourselves a force of nature. But not just a destructive force of nature. Well, when that storm blow through the island, mash up everything. Yeah? But Rastafari said the fire is for the purification. More fire. Lightning, earthquake, and thunder. Within the creative consciousness of our ancestors, the whirlwind, the swirling motion is a creative force. So, Kimbunga, African liberation, is not just the mission of chanting down and mashing down Babylon and Rome. It is the process, and Arabia. It is the process of creating Africa, creating Al-Kebula. We are engaged in a creative process as African people, as we who call ourselves revolutionary. So our creative process from a Kimoyo understanding has to be connected with the universal life force. If it is not, we will create that which destroys. Nature, the earth, except and our existence on this earth. That's why the symbol came about, brothers and sisters. Kimbunga, within this context, is the state of consciousness and being, conducive to becoming a vessel of the forces of nature towards African liberation. Nitafute kwenye kimbunga. Look for me in the whirlwind, look for me in the storm. And so, it's necessary for me to, a couple of variations in the symbol. Yeah, Papa Garvey and the UNIACR, generally speaking, use the 5-point star. But a black star is a black star, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And our ancestors used often. So you can see, Nsroma was depicted in many different ways. But most commonly, it's depicted with an 8-point star. Yeah. So I use that variation as well. And I like the hole in the center because it represents for me the pot. Yes? That small element. Alright? So we got variations here. And so, this is a sacred symbol. Yeah? This is a logo. So for those who may be aware, I am the director of an institution called Gotkush TV. And between now and the 17th of Mosiah, which is Papa Garvey's birthday, we're transitioning from Gotkush TV to the name Kimbunga Media. And so I didn't want the sacred symbol to be the logo. Because the logo is going to be used for commercial purposes. It can become a commodity. The sacred symbol is for anybody to use. Yes? The logo is for Kimbunga Media to use. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
But as you can see, it's a variation on the sacred symbol for the purpose of marketing and all of these things. So
Is that the whirlwind?
the whirlwind, yeah, you know, vortex. There's all kind of different things going on here. I could have gone into the vortex symbolism and how the vortex draws in energy and expends energy and all kind of different things. We ain't got time for that today. Yeah, we're going to that another time, brothers and sisters. All right. But everything that I've just said is encapsulated in the word sounds of the prophet when he says, if 400 million Africans can only get to know themselves, to know that in them is a sovereign power, is an authority that is absolute, then in the next what?
24 hours.
Well, not hear what the man said.
24
The man said in the next 24 hours, we will have a nation, a new race, sorry. We will have a nation and empire resurrected, not from the will of others to see us rise, but from our own determination to rise, irrespective of what the world thinks. Brothers and sisters, I hope that I have provided a Kimoyo understanding of the consciousness of African liberation. The consciousness that we must engender and be possessed by if we are to fulfill the mission laid down by our ancestors. I hope that I have provided an example of the state of being that we need to have and consciously cultivate to be creative vessels in the recreation and the perpetuation of ourselves as a people. And I posit to you that the example laid down by the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and the work of the UNIACL is one of the best, if not the best.
Love it. Love it.
Farms we can harvest from in order to cultivate that consciousness. And with that, brothers and sisters, I conclude the message. Tendai Mwadi, give thanks for listening. Garvey lives! Medai lives! Garvey lives! Medai lives! Garvey lives! Medai lives! them damn one.
Look for me in the world when I look up.